Hey guys, welcome to Usually Alright, and we have a bit of a bigger video for you guys this week, and one we hope will help a lot of new players out. We wanted to talk about not just things that might help you when you're a new player to the game, but also actually introduce people that might not be as aware of where Star Citizen is at these days, of what it's actually like, what the pitfalls are, and why you should play it or why you should still stay away. So I think we both have a lot that we actually do like about this game, obviously because we play it and we're making YouTube videos about it. That's not to say there aren't a lot of issues in Star Citizen, and we will get to those. But for both of us, I think it provides an experience like pretty much nothing else that is replicatable in other games. What do you think on that? Like, I know we both have different pieces of the game that we appreciate.
The only reason I still play this game is because sometimes I can see what it's going to be. And I'm so excited about what it could be, I should say, that I want to stick around and see what happens.
Yeah. I think we're moving there a lot faster than the game used to be. In particular, like you go and do some of the newer events in the game, some of the group content in the game, and when things come together, it really is something special. And a lot of that is systemic. It's not, designed missions. It's things that just occur within the game world. And that's what makes it so cool. I mean, I love the fact that everything is so fluid. Like you can float out of your ship into somebody else's ship, see through all the windows, see the players moving around on there, have a gunfight on it, take control of it, and go do everything else. And there's never a loading screen, there's never a hitch. It's all exactly as you would expect. And that's something that's pretty hard to replicate. And exploring the verse itself can be pretty special.
One of the things that keeps me hooked on this game is just how big it feels. If you're starting the game out and you want to get an idea for the scale of the game, go to a random OM point by a planet and then try and get to another one just by flying, not by quantum jumping, just flying to it. It's going to take you, you're probably going to time out of the game before you actually get there. And I think that's pretty impressive. And the entire time there's not loading screens, you're not watching a bunch of textures render in. It's really impressive. Stuff like that is really crazy. And then going to other planets, just even if you're just in your starting system. Yeah, so if you just spend a day jumping to all the different planets that are just around your starting location in that system, you could fill a day with just exploring all the different little locations. And then you realize that there's two other complete systems that aren't as fleshed out yet, but are definitely getting there. Just within Stanton, there's four different systems that you can go and check out before you even get into like contracts. You could fill a day just exploring the verse, and I still do that, and I've been playing for a while, and I've seen mostly every planet.
I mean, there's something legitimately special about the fact that you can jump to a planet, not even quantum down to it, but fly down to it, which will take you some time on some of the bigger planets. If you just jump to an OM point and you fly down to the planet, that can take a while. And then land your ship, walk off of it, and go and look around, all seamlessly. And if you're playing with friends, you can see all of them doing the same things. And you can walk around the larger ships in the game if anybody has them, and everything else is still happening around you.
Another cool thing that you can do is just ask people in the verse in all chat, hey, if I don't have an org or any friends, does anyone have a bigger ship that I can come and check out? And honestly, a lot of people will just do that because most of the stations in the area are armistice zones, so they'll just let you come out and hang out on their ship for a little while so you can check it out. And I think that's super cool because one of my favorite things about this game is all the different ships and how detailed they are and how cool they are to look at.
I mean, I think a lot of people are pretty welcoming with that too. Now, you'll notice that we haven't dived too much into the actual gameplay outside of exploration, which does exist, and it's come a long way. But that's because, as we said at the start, this game has a lot of potential, and that's because it's in development. So I'm going to put, when you buy the game, it's going to give that disclaimer, and I think we, as people that are recommending you possibly check this game out, want to point out as well, this is a game that is in development. You've taken all the risks that come with that. And it is a rough development. Like, we'll be flat out with that. It is not a smooth development. This is not something that's going well all of the time. And sometimes the game is next to unplayable, and features take way longer than you want to come into the game. And there's a lot of things that, in my opinion, I'll go out and say, I don't think are ever coming to the game that they have promised, or at least not in the full way that they're talking about. So there's a level of realism that has to be practiced when you think about the future of this game, because it's really easy to dream, and it's really easy to think that they're gonna do everything, and if they do, that would be amazing. but I just don't think that is happening.
One thing that I want to hit on for new players specifically, before you even look into the development of the game, sometimes you're going to want to hop on maybe directly after a patch or during an event, and you're going to want to play the game. And sometimes you cannot leave your hangar. That's just something that happens with this game, and it's why I struggle sometimes recommending this game to like friends and family. It's because I don't want them to blame me for spending, even $40 and then they just can't play the game that they paid for.
And that's why it is best to check out the game during a free flight. And when this video comes out, there should be one going, Foundation Festival. That is a double-edged sword. I will say now that usually free flights are the worst the game is from a performance perspective, but it is a good indicator of how bad the game can be. It's usually a little better than that when the free flights aren't happening, but they can get that bad, and even when free flights aren't happening, the game is that bad sometimes. For those of you that are interested in checking out the game, are checking it out maybe during the free flight or outside of that in the future, we do have some recommendations. We do have some things that we want to teach you guys and some things we want to hit on. The first, though, is for those of you that don't have a game package yet and are looking at actually buying into the game, is, what ship should you buy? And in brief, we recommend buying the cheapest starter package you can get. You can always upgrade later, and there's a lot that can be said on that, but your investment can always be turned into something bigger if you do find yourself loving the game a lot. We've already made a starter tier list and a review of our favorite starter ship, and you guys can check those out here. With that said, the next decision you have to make when you actually get into the game is where to start. And in short, we recommend not starting in Nyx and Pyro, which are the two systems outside of Stanton that it's going to suggest you be able to start in. We recommend picking one of the starting locations inside Stanton. I'll let you run those down.
So we'll start off with Area 18. This is my personal hometown, if you'll call it. It feels like a cyberpunk kind of spinoff. It's very like futuristic city vibes, like New York, but in the year 2995 or whatever it is. And if you like that vibe, but you're more interested in like brutalist industrial architecture, then Loreville is another good one to start off at. Next, we have Orison. It's probably the prettiest starting location, but there's a lot of PvP that could happen there. Just outside, there is a place called Grimhex. It's in the same system. And if you're jumping between like Orison and Grimhex, the chances of you getting pirated are pretty high. So, beware, but it is really pretty. And then the last one is New Babbage. And I would probably recommend this one as the best starting location for beginners because it's relatively chill.
All right, after you guys pick your starting location, and also definitely pick off what interests you the most from a visual perspective. It's like the best thing you can do in this game. You'll learn why locations are better and not over time, and you can make more educated choices when you have more knowledge on the game if you keep playing. But the game does offer you to do a tutorial, and there are some issues with this tutorial sometimes from a bug perspective, but we do recommend doing it, and it's something they're actively working on improving. This is going to basically walk you through loading into the game, the basics of the controls, how to get to your hangar for the first time, get in your ship, and get to the station in orbit, and fly a little bit. This is a great thing to follow along with. It's going to save you a lot of time, and we do recommend experimenting, follow along with it. If you have any troubles with it, there's tons of support online, or you guys can even pop a comment in this video, and I will definitely answer it on how to help you guys out. So we're not going to touch too much on what the tutorial itself covers, because there's a lot of stuff that we want to touch on for after you finish that initial tutorial. The first one is after you land at the station that the tutorial will bring you to. We recommend immediately doing a few things. The first one is finding the medical center and setting your new spawn. So in this game, basically any medical center, you can set it to be your spawn when you die. We heavily recommend setting your spawn to the station in orbit because it's going to speed up your day a lot when you're first playing and you die, probably a lot. On top of this, you can find medical supplies and med guns here, which you might need later. And stations like this one generally have a couple of shops and an internal transit area, and you can buy things like FPS items here, armor, food and drink, which the tutorial will actually walk you through getting, and kind of getting you set up for the first time. After this, we're going to kind of walk you guys through, if you want to do combat in the game, how to go about doing that. And the thing we recommend doing is a mission called Ghillie Combat Number 1, which is kind of an introduction to combat. It will not walk you guys through the controls, but it will give you a pretty easy starter mission. So Dylan, why don't you take it away?
So The first thing you got to do is you got to find the missions. So you press F2 on your keyboard, you find Ghillie Combat 1, it's going to be under Mercenary, and you follow the little pip to go and get there. Before you initiate the combat, you should learn how to power your guns on. Basically, you want your guns to be as full as possible, your shields to be the next highest level of filled when it comes to power, and then engine can be 1 pip. You need to have
Yeah.
at least one, or else you're not flying.
It's worth touching on. In order to do this, you can hold F on your keyboard and look at your little displays, and you can just click on the little sections in the power management to change these. We don't recommend for you guys to mess with anything except these 3 settings. There's a couple of different modes. So the tutorial talked about SCM mode and nav mode. So for combat, you guys will want to be in SCM mode. And to remind you, you can switch between these by holding B. And when you're in SCM mode, you can actually tap down your scroll wheel, your mouse 3, and this is going to cycle between a couple of modes. You'll see this pop up on the screen. One will be for your guns, one will be for scanning. This isn't going to be very important for you guys yet. And the other one will be missiles. When you're in your gun mode, you can shoot your guns just by clicking your mouse. You can switch what guns you're shooting by scrolling your scroll wheel. And when you're in the missile mode, you will need to be locked onto somebody, which Dylan will talk a little bit more about. And you'll get a missile lock audio cue, and the icon will change. And then you can click, and that will shoot your missiles. If you want to shoot more missiles, you can hit G, and you'll see in the top left, that's going to increase your count.
To target people, which is really important when you're in combat, you have to press T, and then that'll select the ship, usually, most of the time, that is closest to you or center of the screen. If that is not the ship that you targeted, you can press Alt T, and that'll untarget, and then you can press T again, and hopefully it gets the right ship this time.
Yep, or just keep hitting T. When you are shooting at people as well, you're going to notice a little indicator when you're targeted onto somebody. And if you put your icon over that counter, like basically your center reticle, it's going to go green. And if you pull the trigger, that's your lead indicator. That's how you're going to hit things.
So one thing you'll notice when you start hitting, and this is a newly implemented feature, is there's different hit markers. So when you're hitting just the armor of the ship, it'll ping blue. The hit marker will be blue. And then when you finally chip through the armor and you're actually hitting like components or the ship's health pool, it'll ping red. There are some missiles in the game, and some starters we found out have these missiles, where if you're having problems locking onto the missiles, or locking the missiles onto your target, you can ping with tab, and then that'll be easier to lock onto. And then, so this won't necessarily happen in the Ghillie Combat 1, but you might get some missile shot at you, and it's best to learn how to counter those missiles. The 2 buttons that you need on your keyboard are going to be H and J. Those are 2 different kinds of countermeasures, but starting off, I recommend you just kind of tap those until the little missile indicator goes away. 1 or 2 times each. Eventually, you'll learn what the different indicators mean and which button to press. But to start off with, honestly, I've been playing the game for a little while now, and I still do that sometimes because when you're in the heat of combat, you get carried away.
So you're going to see a lot of talk online about the 2 different types to fly in this game. And by default, you guys are going to be on a mode called coupled. And you can change this by hitting C. In essence, coupled mode is a very arcadey type of flight where your ship's going to automatically slow down in space, you're going to have resistance, and it's going to try to keep you from drifting in any direction. It's definitely easier to fly this way when you're first learning to play the game, but we do recommend that you learn to fly uncoupled. Uncoupled is a lot more of what you would expect a ship in space to handle like. When you let go of a direction, you're going to keep drifting in that direction, and you'll see a little velocity indicator on the screen showing you which direction you're going. This does make it so you have a lot more control over your actual ship, and you can pull off things like orbiting enemy ships, which are really difficult to do when you're coupled. When you're comfortable with the controls, I do recommend that you guys practice flying uncoupled. Eventually it'll pay off a ton, and the game's actually a little easier to fly that way once you get used to it.
After your first fight, you're probably going to see that your ship, unless you're really good at the game to start off with, you're going to see that your ship has gone red. Never fear, you don't have to self-destruct your ship. You can just go back to your hangar. In your Moby Glass, there's a menu called the landing menu. In there, you'll see some selections where you can rearm and repair your ship. Press those, let the process go, and then you can get back out there.
In the event that you guys do lose your ship, there's no need to panic, no need to worry. When you go back to your ASOP terminals, the place where you request your ship from at a station after dying, you're going to see that your ship is listed as destroyed or unknown if you just died in your ship. And if you hit claim, you're going to have two options. One of those is going to be something you have to pay for, and the other one is free. The free one might have a timer, and if you do the paid one, it's going to come back instantly. There's a couple important things to note with this, but until you guys start making changes to your ships, the most important thing to know is just always do the free one, unless you need your ship back right that second. There's no need to pay money on the claim. You guys don't have anything that you've made changes for, so you don't need to pay for an insurance claim. Later, once you guys start making changes to your ships, it's worth learning about this, but for now, you can just not worry about it, pick the free option. Now, outside of combat, there's a whole lot of other activities you can do in the game. The other two that are going to be really applicable to you guys as starters are going to be hauling and courier missions. So courier missions are pretty simple. Those you'll find in your mobiGlass again under contracts under the courier tab are missions that are going to take you essentially from point A to point B. You'll go to point A, you'll get out of your ship, you'll find a box that's marked on your map, you pick it up, you bring it back onto your ship, and you bring it to point B and drop it off where you're told to, and you get paid. They're a great way to explore the verse and just kind of relax. The other option that you'll have is hauling missions. And importantly, the starter hauling missions are going to be located under the delivery tab. These are going to be a little bit more involved than the courier missions, but they're actually a lot of fun. So for hauling missions, you're going to need a couple of tools. Find these in the Galleria in the station that you're at or on the cargo deck. If you equip the max lift and pull it out, you'll be able to click, and on movable boxes or objects that will come up from these missions, you'll be able to move them. For your multi-tool, you'll need to equip the attachment, which you can do from your inventory, or if while you're holding the multi-tool you hit the J key, it's going to open up a little interface so you can swap that out. I recommend just doing it from your inventory, it'll be a lot simpler. The multi-tool will work the same way, but the max lift can pick up larger items. Your multi-tool can't pick up as boxes as large. For these starter missions, you'll never need the max lift, but if it's a little easier for you to use, feel free to grab one. Now, for your first contract, it's going to be really similar to the courier missions. It's going to take you from point A to point B. And when you get to point A, you're going to have to claim some items. Still, if I'm new to the game, how do I actually pull up my cargo?
So the first time you were in your hangar, you might have noticed that there is an elevator off to the side. If you have a big enough ship, there's two. The elevators will have a little terminal off to the side where you can go and interact with that. And it's kind of self-explanatory. There's a button to send the elevator down that will access the inventory that you can pull up. You transfer that to the elevator, press that, you pull up, it'll show up in a glorious display if the game's working right.
Now, once your cargo is up, you'll be able to tractor it with those tools that we mentioned just by pointing at them with your tool out, click on it, and it's going to pick up automatically, and you can move your mouse around. The box is going to move around with it. You can also scroll your scroll wheel to pull the object closer and further away from you. You're going to take that over to your ship, and on most of your ships, you're going to notice that you've had some space for cargo. If you drop down your cargo deck or you bring your cargo to that, you're going to see a little holographic outline of where your cargo can go. And when this happens, if you just let go, it's going to snap into place. This is how you're going to store your cargo on your ship. You'll take it to point B. You'll unload the cargo back onto that same type of elevator in a hangar and send it down. It's going to ask you to confirm that the mission is complete. And you'll click, yeah, my mission is complete. And you're going to be good to go.
Now you might ask yourself, man, I got the Aurora Mark II. It's the best starter in the game, but I can't do hauling missions. What am I to do? Never fear. You can rent ships. This is something that I was unaware about until like 6 months into playing the game. You can go and access larger ships for not that much money, and you get like a day to 2 days rental time, and you can go do all the different gameplay loops you want.
You guys can find those rentals at basically all of the major landing locations. So whatever you picked as your home base, you'll be able to rent. Usually at the spaceport, there's a little terminal for rental, and at the major spaceports. So you guys have hopefully set your spawn. If you guys go to the refining deck, you can usually find the rental terminals there.
Another really fun, in my opinion, gameplay loop for starting players is some of the FPS content. Now for this, obviously, we've talked about it and shown before how to go to stores and buy stuff. You'll have to buy weapons and ammo and armor, but then you can go and fight some baddies on a planet at a station. You can go and fight some baddies at a bunker, make a little bit of money, and I think it's a ton of fun. And it's, I think, a little bit more challenging than the starting ship combat missions, and they usually pay pretty good. And then you can also look at some of the mercenary missions. They can be very similar to the bounty hunting stuff. They usually pay a little bit more, but they're not as fast as bounty missions. So if you're just on for a quick play sesh, bounty missions are a little bit easier to get behind. And then there's also the ghillie combat missions, like we talked about in the ship combat tutorial part. But they pay really good. They also teach you how to play the game. We recommend those a lot as well.
Yeah. And for those of you that aren't combat minded, I don't recommend jumping straight into mining or salvaging, just because you're going to need to get specialized stuff to do that. But you guys can go hauling, like we talked about. You're pretty quickly going to hit a wall with what missions you can do, because pretty much all of the starters can only carry at most 8 SCU, a little more if you sprung for a larger ship. But you can rent a ship like we talked about, and you can pretty quickly make back the money you made on a rental in a good day of just hauling and doing those missions. They're also really easy to do while you're doing something else in the background, or you just want to relax and hang out with people. Focus on them as much as you want, or kind of turn your brain off and just have a good time exploring the verse. Now, we touched on quite a bit already in this video, and this game has a lot more depth to it, a lot more controls, and a lot more that we could tell you, a lot more information. So one of the things we do recommend doing is taking a look at the links we have in the description below if you are getting into the game. This is a bunch of out-of-game resources that help compile a lot of information in the game, like where you can find things, stat comparisons if you want to get into that, hauling tools, and just a database for missions in the game. Additionally, we do have an entire video on armor and deflection, so if you guys ever run into something you're wondering, why can't I hurt this? You can take a look at that video, and we go into depth on that a ton. What else would you recommend for people that are looking to actually learn more about the game? Because really our goal today is just to get you guys running.
So another thing that we'll have a link to is the YouTube account Astro Historian. He does lore videos, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that if there's any like really good resource to like learning about the scale of the whole universe and everything that has to do with Star Citizen, learning about the lore is pretty cool. I like it. And Astro Historian is like the best resource for that stuff that I've found.
And one more thing, if you guys are going to give this game a shot, we do recommend creating your account with a referral code. You guys are going to get some additional credits in game when you do this. I'm going to put our referral code up on the screen. Feel free to use it. But in general, we just recommend using any referral code. So if you have a buddy that plays the game, use theirs. Or there's online resources that'll pull a random one if you just want to do that. But do use a referral code. It does give you guys some benefits.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is usually the part where I'd talk about not subscribing to us, but we have one more resource for you. If you comment on this video, Charles is going to do his best to respond to you and answer any of your questions. He is a encyclopedia for this game, and even if he can't answer the question right away, he's going to do his research and get back to you. So hit him up. Also subscribe if you want to, whatever.